How can one eliminate self-attachment? Even though I know it's just a wound, it still hurts.
First of all, eliminating self-attachment is not that easy, but it is absolutely necessary right now for everyone present. If you haven't used wisdom to examine it, the so-called self seems to clearly exist. But when we actually try to observe the self, we originally tend to think that it is our body, but where exactly is the self? Is the self perhaps hidden inside the head, in the heart, or maybe somewhere else entirely? When you carefully investigate, you can never actually find the true master of the self. This is called the aggregation of the five skandhas: form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. For example, when our consciousness and our body come together and interact with each other, we call this combination the self. It's like when we say this is a bottle, but if we really try to find it, where exactly is the so-called bottle? Is it at the bottom, the mouth, inside, or outside the bottle? At this point, we realize that what we call a bottle is just a temporary combination. In this regard, I believe Buddhism is truly exceptional. Whether it's a university professor or a scientist, I've met many scientists who believe that the self exists. And when they say the self exists, I ask them, where exactly are you? They say it's my body, but actually the body is my body, not me. So where exactly are you right now? At this point, some say I am in the heart, while others say I am in the mind. Since you claim to exist, in what exact form do you exist? Do you exist as consciousness, or as a physical body, or at the molecular level? At this point, no one really has a clear idea. Therefore, Buddhism speaks of no self. Breaking down no self, we have no self of persons and no self of phenomena. The latter means things like my house, my car, my flowers, and so on. All these so-called possessions of mine are referred to as the self of phenomena. And as for the so-called self, this refers to our attachment to ourselves. In fact, when it comes to the so-called self, we haven't really examined it. If you truly investigate, where exactly is this self? When you look for it, you still can't find the self. Therefore, Buddhism speaks of no self. Of course, this understanding of no self begins with recognition, and after recognizing it, you gradually practice. Through practice, you slowly and gradually eliminate attachment to self. Eliminating attachment to self is a long process. It's not something you can decide to let go of. Suddenly the self disappears. You might understand the non-existence of the self on a theoretical level, but in terms of actual realization, it still takes some time. After gradually practicing, eventually, there is no selfishness left. It's a state of complete realization. In Buddhism, this is considered a very profound and significant state.